It's Monday, you know what that means. Another episode of Manga Monday. This week, I'm recommending two. So the first manga I'm gonna recommend is called Kimi no Okasan wo boku ni kudasai, which basically translates to I want your mother to be with me. Now I know my fellow perverts are all like, what? What? M-word? M-word? Calm down. This is a lighthearted romance story about a dude who falls in love with a mother, a single mother. So we have our boy Rio falls in love with a single mother named Yuzuki. Now, Rio, so spoilers just to get you into the story. In the very first chapter, he basically confesses to her. So what he tells us is that it's been half a year since he's met her. He met her at her job, which then he fell in love with her smile. So he gets a job at her place. Kind of creepy, stalkerish. So after 6 months, he gets to know her and says, yes, I'm totally in love with this woman. So in this first chapter, is the day that he decides, yep, I am going to confess my feelings to her. He does, and his coworkers are hilarious because he actually tells his coworkers, and they tried to stop him because they kind of knew what was going to happen. But you know, love is blinding. So Rio does confess to her, kind of creepish, because I was like, boy, you're moving way too fast, because he had a ring with him. So he asked her out with the prospect of marriage, and she was kind of, embarrassed, shy, and she seemed like she was rejecting him slowly, but before she could reply, he quickly replies emotionally that he knows that she's a single mother and her past life doesn't matter to him, and everything that is her and comes with her, he will accept, and whatever happened in her past, like her family and child, like it matters not, because he loves her. And that was a landmine, because you just don't put down a child like that, especially to a mother. And I love her reply. She says, before I'm a woman, I'm a mother. So it wasn't gonna end well for him by this point. And another cold response, which he needed to hear, is, can a feeder like you support a family? So a feeder is a Japanese term for someone who just works part-time. So basically someone who just doesn't have a full-time job. Because our boy Rio, he's working in that job just part-time. And aside from that, he's actually studying to get into college. As she said, before she's a woman, she is a mother. And she just walks off into the sunset, and our boy is left there in the dust, all heartbroken. This is actually a manga that I can relate to very much, because I have dated a single mother. And for anyone else who has dated a single parent, father, mother, doesn't matter, I think you can relate to this manga a lot. I know I did. There's a lot of situations where I'm like, my guy, like, don't do that. I've done it, and it's not gonna end well, and it doesn't. And I'm like, whoa, this manga actually put a realistic situation that happened to me. So trust me, if you have dated a single parent or tried to date a single parent, and if it didn't work out well for you, or it was a struggle for you to get to that point where you actually dated, check out the journey of our boy Rio, who's about to experience that. So from here, the relationship and the romance builds up bit by bit. This series is actually completed. It has a total of 33 chapters, I believe, and 4 manga volumes. So last time Eric told y'all where to find them, me probably won't ever do that, because I actually randomly find stories. So all I can tell you is Google it. So if you're interested in this very lighthearted, heartwarming story, and again, for all you that have dated single parents like I have, it's a great manga to read. The feels, man, you'll connect with it so easily. Just look up I Want Your Mother to Be With Me. Now, the second manga I'm going to recommend is called Rokudou no Onna-tachi, or Rokudou's Wicked Women, or Rokudou's Bad Women, something like that. Warning here. So this manga feels like a shounen story, but it's not. Reason being, because there's a lot of violence and a lot of profanity and equality. So what I really love about this manga is that the female characters and the women in this story are very strong. Like, so there's almost every arc of this manga it's a female that is a very strong fighter or a very strong character. Like our main character, our main female character is, or our main female protagonist is basically the Terminator. Like she is the most powerful character in this story. So in this story, we have our boy Rokudou and his two good friends, the Colonel and the Kaicho. Now Kaicho basically means like captain or just someone in higher authority. It's a little running pun. So his friend is named Colonel. Why? We don't know. He dressed up like a ghetto colonel. Why? And his other friend is like always wears spandex. Cool. Anyways, so these three guys get bullied a lot in school. One day, Rokudou goes home with his friends and he receives a package, and it's from his grandpa. It turns out his grandpa died years ago, so they kind of freak out. But they open the box and it has a letter and it says to Rokudou, so it's for him. Basically it says, danger is approaching your life. Use this scroll and its power to fend off the danger in the future. Rokudou remembers something that his grandpa used to tell him when he was a kid, and that like his family used to have powers or exorcist powers like in the past to fend off monsters. So him and his friends are like, cool, now we could use these to get those bullies off of us. And he was holding the scroll and then it glows. After it glows, there's a pentagram that appears on his head, you know, the circle with the star, witchcraft, demonic stuff, whatever. And he thinks like, oh cool, now I have a power. So the next morning he's walking all confident and these thugs pass by him and they tell him to move. He's all like, hey, don't mess with me, man, I have exorcist powers. And the thug just says, what? Boom, just smacks him. He's all like, it didn't work. But there was a chick among those two thugs and she tells him like, hey, like that's enough, right? Let's just go on. And he goes to class and the bullies were also gonna get on him and they were like circling him. And then one of the girls tells her like, hey, we already bullied him yesterday, why don't we not bully him today? How about we bully these guys? And she points to his friends, so they end up beating up his friends. Just from these events, he summarizes with his friends that I think my power only works with women. So they test it out and they go to the streets. And as he's walking, his friends are keeping an eye on him and they notice that many of the women are just staring at him. Thing is that it's only the women that look like bad women. And they figured out that yeah, his power is to make women fall in love with him, but only the bad women, the delinquent women, or a woman that's evil. Just from hearing that, you may think, oh, it's a harem. Yes, it is a harem. And there are people that just hear the word harem and it turns them off and they turn away. But wait, give me a moment. It's not your average harem. A little bit of a spoiler, but the reason I say this is that this manga, the way the author set it up, is that the story arcs follow a specific girl who is part of his harem. But in each arc, every time he meets one of these girls, in the future, there's a character within those arcs, a male character, aside from him, that is usually the main enemy, that in the future, so this is a bit of a spoiler, in the future, these girls will have their own romance with someone else. So technically, not a harem. Harem build, but at the end, no harem kept. So our first story arc is basically he learns early on like that these girls really do fall in love with him, like they really do love him, which he reflects on that and remembers his first love, which is freaking hilarious. So basically there was this girl in his childhood who protected him from bullies. A few years later, she becomes the delinquent girl herself. She becomes a gal girl. And if you don't know what a gal girl is, look up gal girls in Japan. So he decides like, oh, I really need to like use this power responsibly, because these are feelings, true feelings of this girl, and I just don't want to trample on their feelings like that, because it would really suck and I'll be trash. So he thinks like, wait, bad girls fall in love with me. What would happen if that bad girl isn't a bad girl anymore? What if they become a good person? So now this is our main character's main goal for all the main female characters in each arc that he will meet. So far there's 6. But for each one of these girls, his goal and what he makes it his job is to reform these girls from delinquent girls or bad people to good people. So I hope that one of these mangas catches your interest, and if it does, Google it. And I will see you guys in the next video. Adios.